won't go to the Olympic Games? Would you like to see the United States do that?
That I don't know. You have to think from sort of wider way. I think the take the Olympic, meantime, reminds to the Chinese government they should pay more attention or genuine sort of implementation about respect human rights and respect religious freedom.
Well, let me ask you a question about what I believe may have been raised with the Prime Minister. There are something like 100,000 Tibetans in India, and they cannot go back home, and I understand at least about 10,000 are living in pretty severe poverty. I understand you asked the Prime Minister, could Canada take in some of these people as refugees? Did you ask him that, and what was his response?
First, you have to ask Prime Minister that. I think the proper answer the Prime Minister will give. Of course, among our sort of discussion or casual talk, it also is a touch about that. Since already now here in Canada, about 4,000 Tibetans already here, is happily settled, and they also very good sort of citizen of this country, very law-abiding. After all, this country is a more multicultural sort of nation. There, so that's, I think, anyway, in certain way, mutual benefit. You see, taking a few thousand more Tibetans here, they will get benefit, and the culture as a the whole of this country. I think Tibetan can make a little contribution for enrich part of your cultural heritage.
Well, a senior government minister actually said that they're probably going to take in some of these refugees because of what you said to the Prime Minister.
Well, then very good. I'm grateful.
All right, now let me ask you another question that touches on Canada again. You've been talking about, we've lost a lot of soldiers in Afghanistan. We have a lot of soldiers over there fighting. And did you talk to the Prime Minister about your concerns that that fighting the Taliban is not the way to go, that we should be negotiating? Did you mention this to him?
No, this is not involved. But I think the press meeting, after my meeting one minister, then you see some reporters asked me about that. Then I made clear, so my position right from the beginning, I not at all, you see, they sort of also they agree or support using force, violence. You have to find more peaceful ways or non-violent way. You have to find a solution. Otherwise, this is just relying on using force.
So people here in Canada, a lot of people here in Canada say what we should do is negotiate with the Taliban. Would you agree with that?
Well, that's best. Ultimately, you have to talk. But then sometimes the difficulty is the so-called Taliban organization maybe some pocket and carry independently. Then it's difficult. If there is some sort of unified sort of the group, then easier to talk.
Well,
so I think in any case, through also privately, a private channel, I think should explore every possible sort of occasion. That's, I think, very, very important.
Well, I'm going to go on that subject because you yourself have been trying to talk and negotiate with the Chinese, and their response is to accuse you of leading an evil cult. Their response has been pretty brutal suppression of the Tibetan people. And some people wonder whether your approach is the right approach, that there are some people, maybe a minority in the Tibetan community, may want to go to a more extremist route because your approach does not seem to be working, at least in terms of Tibet.
Yes, right from the beginning, like Tibetan Youth Organization, right from the beginning, they against our way of approach. You see, we are not seeking independence. we are seeking genuine autonomy within the framework of Chinese constitution, or within the People's Republic of China. Now, in early period, the Chinese government is recognized Tibet case as something very special case. So, the agreement between local government and the central government, only Tibetan case there is agreement. The rest of the China or different sort of ethnic groups, no such sort of agreement. That means at that time the Chinese leaders recognized Tibetan sort of case is something very special case. So I often used to telling my friend, if Chinese government keep that spirit, then 59 event may not take place.
Okay.
So we will not become a homeless person, homeless people.
But is there anything that Canada can do to support you in your peaceful efforts to bring about political autonomy for the Tibetan people? Is there anything specifically that Canada could do?
Culture, religious autonomy. There is sort of a problem. One is the problem is the Chinese government denying there is problem about Tibet. Problem is only Dalai Lama. So that's the problem. That's the real sort of problem, obstacle. Whether Chinese government admit or not, there is sort of problem. There is issue. The 6 million Tibetan, like many other sort of minorities, they're full of resentment. So therefore, the Chinese government is compelled to station large number of soldiers in Tibet. And every single Tibetan, the Chinese eyes, they cannot trust. That kind of situation now. This is a problem. Although physical controlled by Chinese force, but mind, never. Now after nearly 60 years, they completely failed the change of Tibetan mind. So this is the potential of problem, crisis. So that must sort of accept that reality. The one Deng Xiaoping is stated, the seeking truth from fact. It is marvelous. It is a very logical and scientific way thinking. So the seeking truth from genuine fact. Now, in many cases, they create false fact, and then supposed to be seeking truth from that. It's self-deceiving. Mm-hmm. So the Chinese government, I think the world, should remind China that this situation is not at all sort of stable or normalcy. Therefore, the complete normalcy about Tibet on the basis of mutual trust, mutual respect between Han Chinese or Chinese government and Tibetan, then not only is it bring happiness or satisfaction among 6 million Tibetan people, but also the relation between India and China can develop genuine friendship on the basis of mutual trust.
Well, Your Holiness, on that note, I want to thank you for doing the interview, and I hope that you will soon return to your homeland.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I very much appreciate including sort of government officials or the parliamentarians, and even the ordinary sort of people in the street, the spontaneous sort of expression of warm feeling. I very much touched.
All right.
The other day, yesterday, when I entered the Parliament House, there's one old lady jumped at me and kissed here. So I think this spontaneous sort of bit emotional sort of feeling of friendship, I really appreciate that.
Great. Well, thank you, Your Holiness.
We're going to take a break and